Have you ever really wondered what's going on inside an AI's mind? You know, how does it go from just following a script to actually making a choice? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the exact mechanism that gives modern AI that spark of intelligence. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the old way, the rigid, linear limits of early AI. Then we'll jump into the LangGraph revolution that totally changed the game. After that, we'll get right into the heart of it, the AI decision engine itself. We'll see it in action with a smart hotel agent, and then we'll look forward to the wild next-gen agents this tech makes possible. So first things first, to really get why the new way is so cool, we have to understand the problem it was built to solve. What was so broken about the old way? We've all been there, right? You're talking to a chatbot, you ask it something slightly out of the ordinary, and it just breaks. It feels like it's reading from a very, very short script. And the thing is, that rigidity wasn't a bug. It was a feature of its fundamental design. So on the left, you've got the old world, a linear chain. I want you to think of it like a car factory assembly line. Step A, then step B, then step C. Super predictable, sure, but totally inflexible. It can't make a choice, it can't go back and fix something. But on the right, that's the new way, a cyclic graph. This is way less like an assembly line and much more like, well, a brain. It has all these different pathways that can branch off, loop back, and allow for actual genuine decisions. So how did we make that jump? How did AI break out of that linear prison? The answer really comes down to a framework called LangGraph, which basically gave AI a whole new kind of brain to work with. LangGraph brought in 3 core building blocks. First, you have state. This is the agent's working memory, what it knows right now. Then you have nodes, which are the actions, or the things the agent can actually do, like call a tool or search a database. And then, the crucial part, edges. These are the connections, the pathways that define how the agent moves from one action to the next. Okay, so we've got this new brain structure. But a brain isn't just about connections, it's about making choices. And that brings us to the absolute star of the show, a very special type of connection called the conditional edge. This right here, this is the secret sauce. A conditional edge is what gives an AI agent the power to look at a situation, evaluate it, and then choose where to go next. It's not just a wire connecting 2 points. It's a T-junction with a traffic cop. It's what turns a static flowchart into a dynamic thinking system. So let's pop the hood for a sec. A conditional edge actually has 3 parts. It starts with an upstream node, which feeds it information. Then you've got a routing function, which is like the mini-brain that contains the logic to make the actual choice. And finally, a simple mapping acts like a road sign, pointing the agent to its next destination based on that choice. This separation is brilliant because it keeps the logic clean and easy to manage. Now you might be sitting there thinking, hold on, isn't this just a fancy if-then statement? And that's a fair question, but it's not quite the same. If you look at something like a runnable branch, that's perfect for a simple one-off decision in a straight line. But a conditional edge is built for way more complex stuff. Because it operates on that shared state, that memory we talked about, it lets the agent make choices inside a loop, remembering what it did before. It's the difference between a simple fork in the road and a full-on intelligent roundabout. Okay, enough theory. That's a lot of abstract concepts. Let's make this concrete and see how all these pieces come together in a real-world example. So imagine a user types this into a hotel's AI assistant. It's a pretty standard request, right? For an old linear system, this could actually be surprisingly difficult. But for an agent built with LangGraph, this is exactly what it's designed to handle. Okay, so the first thing that happens is the user's message hits a router node. Now, its only job is to analyze the user's intent. It doesn't actually check the booking, it just figures out what the user wants to do. And bam, this is where our decision engine, the conditional edge, kicks into gear. It takes the output from that router, maybe just a simple tag like check_booking, and its internal logic says, aha, I know what to do with that. It then decides the correct path forward is to the tool that handles booking checks. And there you have it. The agent's workflow is dynamically routed to the exact node it needs for the job. That node then calls the right tool, looks up booking number 123, and gets the answer. The most important part, the agent chose its own path. It wasn't just following a script. So this decision-making ability is cool for a hotel bot for sure, but it unlocks a whole universe of sophisticated applications that go way, way beyond simple Q&A. This is where things get really, really powerful. With this single idea, We can now build agents that can intelligently choose the right tool from a whole toolbox for any given job. We can create systems that know when they're in over their head and need to pause to ask a human for approval. We can build agents that loop back and refine their own work, or even create entire teams of AI agents that can hand off tasks to each other. This makes AI robust enough for the real world. I mean, think about it. If a tool fails, the agent doesn't just crash, it can decide to run an error handler. If it's about to book a non-refundable flight, it can decide to stop and wait for you to say yes. Or if a user asks a super technical question, it can decide to pass that question to a specialized tech support agent. This is how you build truly autonomous systems. So, at the end of the day, the leap from a simple script to an intelligent agent, it isn't magic. It's a choice. And the conditional edge is the engine that makes that choice possible, turning a rigid flowchart into a dynamic mind that can actually reason and adapt. And that leaves us with a pretty massive question. Now that we've given AI the power to choose for itself, what choices are we going to trust it to make next?